Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take materials you send us, dig in, and pull out the key stuff so you can get up to speed fast. You shared it. We dove in. Today, we've got something a bit different. It's a letter, actually, sent to the Tell Me Pastor advice column in the Jamaica Star newspaper.
Right, yeah. So not a formal study this time, but a real snapshot, a glimpse into a specific cultural, religious situation. These personal things can be surprisingly insightful.
They really can. So this letter is from a Christian man, calls himself TT. He's in North America, but planning his wedding back in Jamaica.
Okay.
And here's where it gets tricky. He says his parents, his siblings, even their pastor, they're all going to be staying at the same hotel for the wedding.
Okay, yeah, that adds a layer right away.
Yeah.
And the core issue is they're trying to save money.
Exactly.
Right.
Trying to be smart about costs. So they thought maybe share a hotel room the night before the wedding. Saves booking an extra room. Seems practical on the surface.
Makes sense financially, yeah.
It does seem efficient. Everyone's there anyway. But there's some big problems with that idea. First off, TT's fiancée. She's hesitant. She's committed to remaining a virgin until marriage. And, well, the letter says she doesn't completely trust TT to behave himself that night.
Wow. Okay, that's huge. So it's not just about the religious side. It's also about her personal boundaries and maybe the trust level in the relationship itself.
Yeah, seems like it really highlights how, even with shared faith, individual comfort and expectations can be, well, different.
Definitely. And then there's the pastor factor.
Right. The pastor who's marrying them is also at the hotel, so they're worried, what will he think if they're in the same room before the ceremony? It feels like they're walking a tightrope, sort of socially and spiritually.
Yeah, you can feel that tension in the letter. Balancing money, personal values, the fiance's strong feelings, and potential judgment from their pastor. That's a lot to handle right before you get married.
And don't forget the family. TT mentions his parents, and specifically his father. His dad seems to have a more, modern, pragmatic view.
Oh, how so?
Well, apparently the father kind of teased TT about it, said the pastor's views are outdated, even called him someone from the Stone Age.
Okay. So now we've got differing views within the family, too, not just couple versus pastor. The father's kind of downplaying the premarital abstinence thing, at least for this one night.
Yeah.
Maybe influenced by North American culture?
Could be. His whole vibe is like, what's the big deal? It's just one night. Which is totally opposite to what the fiancé believes, and we assume what the pastor thinks, too.
Yeah, direct conflict there.
So our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack all these different angles. You've got the practical money saving, the fiancé's conviction about virginity and her trust issues, the dad's more modern take, and then the pastor's likely traditional stance.
And right at the heart of it all, like you said, is this issue of premarital intimacy, but seen through a very specific cultural and religious filter in Jamaica. It's about faith, family, personal conviction, all colliding right before the wedding.
Okay, so let's get to the pastor's response. That's what TT was asking for, right? Guidance?
Right.
And not surprisingly, the pastor's very direct. He basically says the question feels like a setup.
A setup? Why?
Because, according to the pastor, the Bible is crystal clear. No sexual activity before marriage. Full stop.
Okay, yeah. That lines up with traditional interpretations in, well, many Christian denominations. Marriage is seen as the right place for intimacy, the sanctity of the covenant.
Exactly. The pastor doesn't even entertain finding a loophole or justifying sharing the room, no gray area. Instead, he offers a really practical alternative.
Oh, what does he suggest?
He says, essentially, why can't the guys bunk together and the girls bunk together for just one night until you're actually married?
Okay. So that addresses the money issue, potentially fewer rooms needed, and it respects the fiancé's wishes and avoids any awkwardness or perceived impropriety with the pastor there. It's pragmatic, but rooted in his beliefs.
It really is. He just sidesteps the whole should they or shouldn't they by offering a simple logistical fix. It's also interesting, he points out they already have a special room booked for after the wedding for them as a married couple. Which kind of implies that wanting to share a room beforehand isn't really about necessity.
That's a good point. The pastor might be hinting that the motivation isn't purely financial. Maybe it's impatience or wanting that intimacy before the vows rather than genuine hardship.
Yeah.
He's kind of subtly calling that out.
Yeah. And we can't just skip over the fiancé's hesitation, her saying she doesn't fully trust TT's self-control. That says a lot about their dynamic, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests maybe a lack of complete mutual trust or respect for boundaries, which is concerning right before marriage. Do you think it points to wider communication issues?
It's a really good question. Her lack of total trust definitely feels like it goes beyond just this one night. It might signal, a need for some deeper talks about expectations, boundaries, respect, all that stuff before they tie the knot. Her worry isn't just abstract religious principle. It sounds deeply tied to her feeling secure and trusting him.
Yeah, absolutely. Personal trust is fundamental.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main takeaways you see from this very personal, very culturally specific dilemma?
Well, first, there's that obvious clash, right, between practical stuff like saving money and these deeply held beliefs, both personal and religious. The fiance's commitment to virginity is clearly a huge factor for her.
And then the differing opinions within the family. The dad's more laid-back view versus the fiance's traditional values, and of course the pastor's very clear line. It shows how diverse values can be, even in one family.
Definitely. And the pastor's response itself is a key takeaway, very firm, no wiggle room on the traditional religious view. But he offers a practical way out, reinforcing his belief that this shouldn't even be a question for a Christian couple about to marry.
And it's important, too, that the fiance's hesitation isn't just theoretical religion. It's linked directly to her personal trust, or lack of it, in TT. That adds a whole relational dimension.
Mm-hmm. And like Pastor said, TT's original question does seem a bit like he was testing the waters, maybe hoping for justification for something that, from that traditional view, is already off limits.
So for you, our listener, thinking about all these forces, money, family, religion, trust, how do cultural values and personal feelings intersect with religious rules when people make big life choices? And maybe what unspoken things might be influencing everyone's view in this whole pre-wedding situation? Definitely something to mull over.